Well, I for one was not expecting a Cloverfield film last night. Were you expecting a Cloverfield film last night? Don't lie to me. I've watched it, I've digested it. Because it was a surprise release, I want to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, but here are my quick thoughts on the Cloverfield Paradox. The Cloverfield Paradox takes place in a near future where the Earth is facing an energy crisis. As always, the solution is a particle accelerator in space. One bad experiment later, and the Earth goes missing, and the crew of Cloverfield Station must deal with spooky space nonsense, including a scientific theory called the Cloverfield Paradox. Oh, by the way, this is a Cloverfield movie. The cast is good, just good. Elizabeth Debicki, David Oyelowo, Daniel Bruhl, Chris O'Dowd, and Gugu Mbatha-Raw lead a very capable ensemble cast. These actors are fine in their roles. The problem is these roles are severely underwritten. In fact, everything in this film is underwritten. The characters, the plot, the mythology, the stakes, the emotion, the humor, it's all very basic. Once upon a time, this was a script called The God Particle and was considered one of the best unproduced screenplays of 2012. J.J. Abrams snatched it up and shoved the Cloverfield branding down its throat. That said, if you just want some payoff for the original Cloverfield film, it's here very minimally and shoehorned in. The production design is similarly unspectacular, and while Julius Onah's directing has its moments, it doesn't add anything revolutionary to the formula. The film tries to replicate 10 Cloverfield Lane's pressure cooker tension building, but lacks the simplicity of that film's story and its well-written characters. Paradox features some gruesome body horror, recalling elements of the original Cloverfield, and while it's not a light-hearted film, Chris O'Dowd gets a dozen or so decent one-liners throughout. I can see why Paramount dumped this film off to Netflix. It would not play well with theater audiences, but on Netflix it can thrive. It's certainly a better film than Bright, but this is easily the most haphazard film in the Cloverfield saga. That said, Netflix surprise releasing it on the night of the Super Bowl is fantastic from a marketing standpoint, fits in perfectly with this Cloverfield franchise as we know it so far. In conclusion, the Cloverfield Paradox is just fine. It's not an incoherent mess, but it struggles to bring anything new to the table. An underwhelming script is supported by competent and at times creative directing and a respectable ensemble cast. If this were not a Cloverfield film, it would not survive on its own merits, unlike 10 Cloverfield Lane. As a Cloverfield film, it shoehorns in unnecessary mythology in a totally inorganic manner, and the new mythology doesn't exactly make sense. In fact, we leave here with more questions than answers, but they're not even good questions. So much of what happens on Cloverfield Station in this film is unexplained and irrelevant to the plot. Other random thoughts. The entire Earth subplot was astronomically boring and clearly added in post-production. I said the production values were average, that's still true, but the lighting, I should make note of the lighting, very good as you would expect from a J.J. Abrams production. And finally, the atmospheric soundtrack from composer Bear McCreary should have been paired with a better film because on its own, it's quite a lovely collection of space music. It's worth a watch if you like knockoffs of better-known space thrillers or are invested in the Cloverfield universe and willing to overlook some serious storytelling flaws. I give the Cloverfield Paradox a C. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. What do you think of the new Cloverfield film or the series as a whole? Please let me know, let's have a conversation in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already, and stay tuned for more here on TV Junkie.